Hello everyone, welcome back to another GeoGuessr video here. It's 5 metas every pro should know, Sundays again. We're on episode 14, and while you're seeing this, I'm going to be in Stockholm, I believe. So, very exciting stuff. I hope the World Cup went well. I'm obviously pre-recording these because, won't have access to a computer while I'm on vacation. But, hope you guys enjoy this episode, and it's going to be covering my home country of the United States of America. So, we'll start off with, a little Minnesota, and then we'll hop into my home state of Hawaii. So, I wanted to throw in an extra little flair in there for me, but should be exciting, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And let's hop into meta number one. All right, the first thing we're going to be talking about is a pretty simple one, and it's quite easy to get down and quite easy to determine if you're in a particular state. So Minnesota, yellow, black arrow signs. So these will be found on the ends of guardrails or river crossings usually. I mean, this sign just says Mississippi River, so it's like quite easy. But you're basically looking for this yellow rectangle with like a black cone, I would say, or like a triangle shape, like an isosceles triangle, I guess. So you're kind of looking for that. And you'll pretty much see this on most river crossings and then like the end of like guardrails like this. So you can see it here on guardrails, and then most of these other examples are going to be on river crossings like that also says Mississippi River there, which is crazy, but I guess that's quite helpful because you're in Minnesota, you're on the Mississippi River. Anyway, I digress. We got these rectangles shown pretty much throughout all of Minnesota, and these are going to be Minnesota exclusives. So if you see one of these, you should be guessing Minnesota, and you will be guessing Minnesota because I have this ingrained into your brain now. So these are very important and definitely quite good because sometimes it's hard to distinguish between these three states. So yeah, Minnesota, yellow, black arrow signs. All right, everyone, we're going to be diving into my home state of Hawaii next. So the first thing I want to note about Hawaii is that Hawaii only has Gen 4 on 3 islands. There's only 7 islands with coverage. Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, there's only 7 islands with coverage. I guess if you count Ko'olave to have coverage, then yes. Niihau is not going to have coverage because it is, like, pretty much none of the public can visit there. And, yeah, they don't have phones technology there as well. But anyway, we'll move into Hawaii Gen 4 first. So Hawaii Gen 4 can only be found on the islands of Oahu, Maui, and the big island of Hawaii. So Oahu is going to have Gen 4 like pretty much everywhere. You can see it here. You can see it here. Even in the neighborhoods. And Gen 4 here, Kahalui. There's one here near the Hana Coast. And then, I just picked out Kona and Hilo as the two other places with Gen 4, but Gen 4 on these 3 islands. So if you see Gen 3, doesn't mean that you can rule out any of the states, but if you see Gen 4, you can rule out like stuff like Kauai, Molokai, Lanai, because you'll only see it on these 3 islands. All right, so I figured the best way to do this would be to go over each island and kind of what makes them unique to me as well as in GeoGuessr. So the island of Hawaii, otherwise known as the Big Island, will pretty much have a lot of volcanic stuff. So like you'll see this volcanic rock walls everywhere. I mean, this is like uber volcanic, right? We're driving through the Volcanoes National Park essentially. But like, look, you'll see this black volcanic rock everywhere. But yeah, you'll see it everywhere throughout the island. And it is obviously the newest island. New in terms of like in the grand scheme of things, because like this island is obviously very, very old, but also it's still sitting right under the plate in which volcano is still spewing up lava, stuff like that, and it's still being built. These do not have any like active volcanoes on it, so like this, like you'll see a lot of volcanic stuff. And then this is the lattice grid, like which everyone knows, I'm sure. But yeah, a lot of volcanic rock pretty much shown. Not to say that you won't see volcanic rock on other islands, but like this is definitely the most common in which you'll see a lot of fresh volcanic rock, and just looks like, it just has a distinct volcanic feel to it compared to the other islands. So this is quite helpful for determining Hawaii, like the island of Hawaii in general. So yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, we'll move on to Maui next. Not too much to say about Maui, I would say. Um, Aside from, if you're in the middle part here, like, so the two, well, I mean, I guess, like, probably the three biggest cities, because Kihei, Kahului, and Wailuku are all in the middle of the island, and they're going to be situated between two massive mountain ranges. So, like, you have the West Maui Forest Reserve here, and then you have Haleakala here, which is like, that touristy place that, well, I wouldn't say it's a touristy place, but it's a very beautiful little overlook canyon thing that you can check out. But yeah, very cool coverage. I mean, this is obviously volcanic as well, but it's a bit of like a darker soil, I'd say, than the black soil, or like a browner soil rather than like the black soil that we saw. But yeah, essentially the main part about Maui is if you're in the middle part where most of the coverage is, you will see like two distinct hills, like pretty much on both sides of you to both the east and the west. And that could kind of indicate to you that, you're on Maui, because you really won't get this kind of valley anywhere else on any of the other islands, especially with like this dry of a landscape, this red soil and stuff. So, very interesting island, but yeah, that's just one tip for Maui. All right, next we're going to move to my home island of Oahu. So Oahu has, it's the most populated island. Of course, it has our state capital of Honolulu here, and Waikiki, where, millions of tourists visit every year. So it is going to be the most populated. You're going to see like a lot more traffic here than you will on any of the other islands. A lot more big highways as well. We have three main highway systems, or I guess one main highway system, but like three main highways. The H1, which extends like all the way along the south side of the island. The H2, which ends up near where the army base is in Schofield Barracks. And then the H3, which goes from like Aiea all the way down to the Marine Corps base on this island here. So a lot more traffic here. You're going to see like, bigger roads, I would say, like more 2-lane roads, stuff like this. It is a bit more green, I would say, in terms of coverage as compared to Maui or the Big Island of Hawaii. Yeah, just a lot of main. So like, the Kilauea mountain range runs all the way through the middle here. And that's why you'll see no coverage up in here, but you'll see a lot of lush green mountains. And, also another thing that I wanted to bring up is I think the newest coverage is from 2019, at least on most of the main highways on the leeward side, which the leeward side is here, the West Coast. But basically, we started building a rail like 5, 6, 7 years ago or whatever. And, it's partially running. Actually, maybe it was more like 10 years ago. But anyway, started building a rail. So you'll see this rail line being built in 2019 coverage. And it runs from like this area all the way to this area here, Aloha Stadium, is where it's set to finish for now. Yeah, you kind of just get this rail everywhere. So if you see the rail, I mean, like that's a really good indication as well that you're on Oahu, because no other cities will, be building this big of a rail thing like this. And you should guess in this area as well, if you see the rail. So that's kind of a couple of tips from Oahu, coming from an Oahu local. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And we will move on. Next, we're going to Kauai here. And Kauai, quite beautiful. I would say probably the most underrated island in terms of its natural beauty. But I think the one thing to highlight about Kauai is it is all going to be in Gen 3. Like, this is from October 2011. But you will see like this red tint to roads. Not to say that you won't get this red tint to roads like on other places. You'll especially see it on Molokai and Lanai. But Kauai definitely has like, it's very green, but you also get this red tint to roads everywhere. And this is like, you can click on any road in Kauai and you'll pretty much see this red road. Any main road, you'll see a red tint. This one, just kind of highlighting the red soil here. This is a bit more barren on the West Coast here, but like pretty much everywhere else, you'll get some green hills, you'll get some red roads. Yeah, let's just like click here. Very red, and you can see it in the road, Zigzag would have a field day with this one. But we move on. Hopefully the red road and the lushness helps you guess Kauai moving forward. All right, next we're moving to Molokai here. And not too much to say about Molokai. There's not as much coverage. You will get red roads as well, but it's a bit more dry than Kauai. So yeah, you can see like the hills are definitely not as green. It's kind of similar to Maui, like in terms of like the lushness, I would say. Like Maui is quite dry. Molokai is also quite dry, and you'll just get red roads, of course, just like Kauai, Gen 3 as well, but just not as green. And yeah, you'll kind of see it throughout. Like even like this still has some greenery, but it just looks dry, a little bit more barren, in terms of the soil quality and stuff. And yeah, this stays consistent pretty much throughout. Like you can tell this is green, but it's still like a dry green. It's not like we get a lot of rainfall. It's very green, lush, and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good hint for knowing Molokai, red roads, but a little bit more dry than Kauai. All right, and I'm going to cover Kaho'olawe here before we covered our last island of Lanai. And Lanai, we'll move into that later, but Kaho'olawe here only has this trekker, which has like a weird blur to it. I think it's probably on a person here, but on the main road, which is a main dirt road, you will get this big Gen 2-ish blur. I think we're in like some kind of, I don't know, ATV golf cart situation, something like that. But this island was essentially used to test out bombs back in the day, and that's why it's uninhabited. Nobody lives here. It's very dry, barren, and yeah, quite a sad story. But that's why it has no people, and that's why it has no coverage. And like you can see that pretty much throughout with this big blur, but also with the dryness and like just absolutely no signs of life here. But quite interesting in terms of an island. And if you guys are interested in the history of Hawaii as well, like you guys should look it up. Be curious minds, very cool. And well, actually very uncool, but at the same time, definitely good to educate yourself on things. All right, the last island of Lanai is owned by Larry Ellison, I do believe. So I think he bought it for like 3 million. I could be wrong on that, but it wasn't that much for what a billionaire has. Anyway, we move on. Lanai, kind of red roads as well, very dry, so sometimes it can be hard to distinguish between Molokai and Lanai, just because, all three of these islands kind of have the same, like, landscape, but, Maui will obviously have Gen 4, so that is quite helpful, I think. But, yeah, just red roads, dry landscape, and then, like, as you get towards Lanai City, you'll see, like, these pines lining both sides of the road. So, like, if you see this, it's a pretty good indication that you're on Lanai. Like, you'll see a lot of pines around Lanai City. And Lanai City is pretty much the only, like, pretty much the only city there. So, yeah, there's really not much to it. The Four Seasons is where a lot of the tourists go. And this is, like, a 5-star resort. But, like, in terms of residents, everybody lives in Lanai City, and you can kind of see it here. And it's a pretty small city. As you can see, just pines everywhere, but yeah, just basically a grid in terms of how it looks. But yeah, if you see a lot of pines like this, like, I mean, this is pretty free Lanai City, I would say. And yeah, that concludes our meta number 2 of Hawaii. I was kind of spitballing there, but like, also I hope you guys enjoyed, because I think Hawaii is a really interesting place and very proud to be from there, and I just wanted to share a little bit about Hawaii with you guys. Even a slight bit to help educate everyone is always fun for me, and I enjoyed it. All right, transitioning back to the continental United States here, we're hitting Oklahoma up for green signs on the back of stop signs. So these are Oklahoma exclusive. You'll see usually 2 digits, and then like a decimal point. I don't know what that is. I mean, like, we got 02.00. Don't know what any of the numbers mean, really. Didn't really look too much into it. But you will see this pretty much on a lot of rural roads throughout Oklahoma. It's probably like some kind of gridding system that they have for stop signs or just intersections in general. So I would encourage you guys to click around Oklahoma, look for these. But these are Oklahoma exclusive, and a pretty simple one, I would say. Like, these green signs, if you see one of these at an intersection, should always just guess Oklahoma, coupled with red soil, stuff like that. But like, these green signs are Oklahoma exclusive. All right, next we're going to move on to Wisconsin/Missouri county letter system signs. So on when you're entering county roads in these two states, you will see a sign that says like county KP road. So like if I zoom in here, just off the 14, it's labeled as KP road. So you will get this sign, and they differ in a way. So we can go over that after I click through these Wisconsin locations. But yeah, you'll pretty much see this at most intersections in which you're entering a county road of some kind. County D, County B, County G here. But yeah, they're pretty much everywhere. Like, you can click through a bunch of locations at like any big intersection, and like you should see a county road within like 3 tries in Wisconsin, and they're always going to have county on the top and then the letter. Whereas compared to Missouri, in Missouri, they're just going to have the lettering system. So no county name at the top. That's kind of how you would distinguish between the two. Is these will only have the letters, so like D here, A here, no county written at the top. That's only in Wisconsin. These only letters ones are going to be in Missouri. So just 2 really helpful tips, I would say, because these can help you narrow down 2 states. And I like the state-specific ones just because they are quite helpful and can help you region guess within, like, I think the Midwest section is quite hard of the U.S., so definitely quite helpful in that sense. Alrighty, and the last one that we got is the I-19 kilometer distance/exit signs, which I didn't even know existed. It's quite interesting. Shout out Plunkett Guide for this one, but you'll see. Okay, so we obviously in America we don't use the metric system. We use miles, feet, etc., because don't know why, really. Imperial system, for whatever reason, who knows? Don't ask me. I don't know the history behind it, but it is quite crazy. Anyway, we got kilometers on most of these signs here. And you'll see that, on exit signs, another exit sign here. We got like commercial vehicles, right lane only, next 2.4 kilometers for some reason instead of miles, which is crazy to me. Obviously, on the speed limit signs on this stretch of highway, you will still see it in miles per hour, but the kilometer signs, or sorry, the markers or like the distance or the exit signs are all going to be on kilometers, which I found to be quite interesting. But, this is quite helpful for GeoGuessr players because at least you're on the specific stretch of road. If you know you're in the US, one, and you're on a big highway going north, then you can pretty much guess the I-19 and you're golden. And yeah, it is quite helpful, I would say. Alrighty, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed another 5 Metas Every Pro Should Know series. This one was special to me, of course, just because I got to go over and educate you guys a little bit on my home state of Hawaii. I know most people will not really give it a second thought in GeoGuessr just because, like, oh, I just click middle of the 8 islands, like we just click Maui or something. But I think Hawaii is quite diverse in terms of how the different islands look, and it is very helpful to learn how to guess between them because that, if you guess Oahu on the Big Island, it's a lot of points. Anyway, I digress with my rant. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, of course. I hope you enjoyed this content while I'm on vacation, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.